And I am going to come over here and make y'all large so that I can see you. I have two screens, so you're going to kind of see me looking over at this side because I like to see my students over to the side. I have some of y'all that use DL and virtual, and I have some of you who are just coming so that you can mark it off your list and mark it on your FPMS. So some of you hopefully will get something out of today because like Dino said just a minute ago, everybody uses what I'm going to be teaching you, whether it's a DL class, whether it's a virtual class, or whether it's a face-to-face class. So I sent out an email earlier this week, end of last week, beginning of this week, asking what do you want to get out of this class? What do you want to get out of this class? Because the main thing is I hate going to meetings where I don't get anything out of them. So, and feel free y'all to stop me anytime you want to stop me because there's going to be a lot of stuff that I go over that you may or may not understand. First thing is a lot of people want to know the difference between a DL class and a virtual class. A DL class is when your students are going to be either live in Mullins, live at the Continuum, live in Hartsville, live in Florence, and the instructor is only going to be in one of those rooms. You cannot use WebEx, UCU, or Zoom in a DL class right now. IT is hoping that you can do that eventually, but right now you cannot use WebEx, UCU, Zoom in a DL class right now. A virtual class is where students can be face-to-face with you, or they can watch from home via WebEx, UCU, Zoom, or whatever. You can only teach a virtual class if you have appropriately equipment like a camera, a speaker, the computer, and then a face-to-face is what we did BC before COVID, where your students are with you with no video component in the room. So when you're looking at your schedule, Dave, you got a question? You good? So when you're looking at your schedules, when you're scheduling a student, a virtual class is going to have the V beside it. Those are going to be the students that can use WebEx or UCU or Zoom. Those are the classes that can, the students can watch from home or they can come in person. A DL class is going to be the classes that are going to be the 41, the 41H, the 41M, the 41L. Those are going to be your DL classes. Those are going to be the ones where there is no WebEx and no UCU and no Zoom. They have to come in person. There's going to be no links. And then your face-to-face are going to be anything that does not have that. Are we good with those so far? I want to make sure everybody knows when they're putting a student in a class because a lot of students need to be informed, hey, this is a DL class. You're going to be in Hartsville and there's no teacher in there. Your teacher's going to be in Florence. Or this is a virtual class. You can take this from home and watch it from the comfort of your home. So everybody needs to know when they're signing a student up, hey, this is a virtual class and this is not a virtual class. This one is going to be a Hartsville class, only Hartsville. It is not a DL. So I had a lot of people ask me what was the difference between Hartsville, Lake City, and Mullins. I mean, a DL and a virtual and a face-to-face. I did have a lot of people say, can you use WebEx, UCU, or Zoom in a DL class? And you cannot. Not at this time. Number two, I had a lot of people ask me about the DL equipment. If you're teaching in a distance learning class, you cannot use WebEx, UCU, or Zoom. The DL equipment has changed a lot since before COVID. Before COVID, you had to have the remote, you had to hook into all the sites. It is not like that anymore. There are no remotes for the DL sites. IT will have the room set up for you. And I have For those of you who are teaching in DL 7203 or 7206, there's these little monitors. The monitor in 7203 and 7206 looks like this, and then the monitor in 7201 is a little bit different. Now, I know that not everybody in here is a DL person, so it's really simple. What I did for you is I went out there and I made a
quick video. I am in 7203, the DL room. I just talked with Price about the equipment.
And I show you exactly what you need to press in a DL room. So if you are teaching a DL class, I tell you exactly what you need to teach, but I mean what you need to push. Basically, if you're doing a computer, you hit the share button. And if you want to change the camera or if you want to change the layout, if you want to mute, and if you want to do the volume, those are the only buttons you hit. Okay, that's in 7203 and 7206. And I'm showing you the different layouts, and then I'm showing you how the camera can be changed. In 7201, it's slightly different. Here's the share button. Here's the layout button, here's the camera button, and then the mute button and the volume button. Basically the same thing. In 7203 and 7306 and 7203 and 7206, there's more layouts. And that's how the screen is going to look at the back of the room. In 7201, you only have 2 layouts. But I have 2 different videos for you, and I will email this to you. I have a video for 7203 and 7206, 4 minutes, and then I have a video for 7201, and I think that one's like 2 minutes. Everything's going to be set up for you. You just have to hit those buttons if you want to make any changes. Price Wood is, I sent him the videos and said, hey, is there anything that needs to be changed? And he said, no, they look great. Please share them. But he is going to be the person that you would talk to if you have any additional questions as far as DL is concerned. The big thing I think that a lot of y'all are in here for is engaging your students. How do you bring those students in, whether it's a virtual class, whether it's a DL class, how do you bring those students in? The main thing is call out their names. I mean, I started that this morning when I was talking with Sherry. I mean, I get on to class 15 minutes early. Sherry was logged in 10 minutes early and I was already talking to her. Talk to those students, call out their names constantly. I right now have all of your names pulled up over here, and this is like a normal size class. I think there's 27 in here. What I do with my students, I make a point to call out their names every single time. And there's lots of ways that you can do that. You can either pull up the participants' names, like if you're doing a DL class, and over here I have, if it's a DL or a virtual, because remember in DL, you cannot do WebEx or UCU or Zoom. You can't do that in DL. So calling out names, you can, as easy as, I wrote all of your names on a little thing. It sounds stupid, but the students get it. I mean, it's your attitude. You reach in and you say, okay, Angie, and ask Angie a question. That way they don't feel like you're picking on them. And I make a point to say everybody's name or pull out everybody's name in every single class period. Another thing that you can do is super, super easy. I typed in everybody's name before class. And you just, you know, and this one takes a second, but you pull up somebody's name. Okay, Brantley. Brantley, tell me something that you want to know from this lesson. Brantley, are you here? Let me see if Brantley's here. Brantley is here.
I'm here.
Okay, what do you want to know from this class? What do you want to get out of for today's lesson?
Just once again about engaging and yeah, and keeping the ones that if you're doing a virtual class that aren't actually with you. And you know, we struggle with that some in the DL classes as well, when they were at different sites, keeping them engaged and that they're a part just like the ones who are right in front of you.
Right. We doing this, I mean, something, and it doesn't have to be in a cup. It can be, I mean, I bought 100 of these for like 50 cents at the Dollar Tree. And it's stupid, but it keeps them on task. I mean, even in these meetings where y'all are in these meetings, it is so easy for y'all to zone out. Y'all are just like the students. You know, you're working on other stuff. You're watching a movie. You're looking at Facebook. You know, keeping y'all on track is just like keeping the students on track and constantly calling your names and coming up with stupid. I mean, here's another one. It's the same concept, and you don't have to do this constantly. Sharon, what do you want to get out of this class?
Well, actually, I've never taught DL, so this is just kind of a learning experience for me to gather as much information as I can about this option.
Yeah, and it may not even be DL. It may be, you know, we've all been living in this virtual life of how do we connect? And nowadays with technology and we're like on a game show, it seems like all the time. What can we do to keep up with, you know, keeping their attention? What can we do to constantly get their attention? I mean, sometimes for my face-to-face students, sometimes I'll bring in, you know, a piece of candy and say, what can I do for the first 5 people to get the question right? Whatever I can do to engage them, whether they're in my face, virtually, DL, whatever, what can I do to engage them? Whether it's a stick out of a jar or whatever, I've got to constantly call their names. Those of us who use WebEx and UCU and Zoom, we know about the polling feature. How many times can we say, answer the question? But they're not going to always answer the question. The same ones are going to answer the question over and over again. Mary Ann, I'm not sure about, she's asking me in the chat feature, do I know if the DL rooms on the Health Science campus have been updated? I will definitely ask. That's going to be a Pricewood question. I'm honestly not sure. I use the polling and chat feature, but I will tell you what tends to help my students, and I'm just going by what works for me. What tends to help my students is texting. And let me show you what I do with mine. There's lots of apps out there. I use the Remind app. Students like to text, even when I'm in class sometimes, I'll say, because I can't go over there anymore now and check I used to give them a problem and go over there and look at their paper and check it. I don't want to be 6 feet away from them now. So I'll say, pull out your phone and send me a text of the answer. I use the Remind app. They can text me and I can text them, and we don't know each other's phone number. And so this is what my cell phone looks like right now. These are all my classes from last semester. Sometimes I do my online classes, sometimes I don't, but I'm very OCD, so it keeps it all organized. And then I just screenshotted just a sample of 2 students. This student, I give them a problem and they take a picture of the problem they're working and they text it to me. And I can quickly give them a thumbs up emoji, or I can write back, or even out loud, I can say, that first turn in the parentheses, you're missing something, or look at the sign outside and change that. But I can see their work and I can see they're doing it. And outside of class, they can take a picture of their computer screen and text it to me and say, Ms. Cooper, I need help on this. The other one is just another student. He chose not to send me a picture. He chose to type it in. And then I also send them updates and say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to talk about registration. Make sure you're in class, or the test is due at midnight tonight. They're going to get a text message before they're going to get an email usually. and I can easily give them a thumbs up, or they can shoot me an email back. And sometimes they feel more comfortable with me doing that, and it's totally one-on-one. There's a lot of apps out there where you can text, and it keeps it all organized and together. So I use that texting app a lot. They can send me pictures and answers. I can send them quick, immediate feedback, whether I do it in the texting app or whether I do it out loud. And also, when we had that glitch, I could get in touch with my students when the whole school was down. You know, when we couldn't get email, when we couldn't get the website, I could still text my students.
Jennifer,
Yes.
that texting thing that you were just explaining,
Yes.
could that work in face-to-face instead of trying to, because students get embarrassed if you call on them to give you an answer and they feel like it's wrong? Would that work in face-to-face also? Could this be set up, that reminder app?
Absolutely. This
They like to stay on their phones.
this and this and this and this. Well, that one's a DL. All of those are face-to-face classes.
Okay.
This is a DL, this is a DL, this is a DL, and then both of those are online. So I am using Remind with DL face-to-face. I'm using Remind with DL face-to-face and online.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and any of y'all that have questions, I'm one of those people that just ask.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
From looking at that screen there, are you able to see the student's name or some ID associated with their name? Like if you want to text somebody directly.
Okay, hold on. Let me show you. You can see my grandson. Okay, so if you hit the Remind app, all of my classes come up. And like if I have a message, like right now, since this morning, I've had 2 people text me. And then if I click on that class, it comes up with their name.
Gotcha.
And then if I click on them, I can read all the messages that I've sent that student and that student sent me. And when you use the Remind app, a crazy number goes to the student, but I tell them that's not my number. So you can save it in your contacts as this is your crazy math teacher, Ms. Cooper, so that they know when I text them, that's not my cell phone number. And when they send it to me, it just comes up as their name.
Gotcha.
So I don't know their number and they don't know my number, but I have, like I can go to people and I can see all of the names of the students in that class. And even when the class is over, 3 years, I've been doing this for 8 or 9 years, the students can still text me years from now.
Gotcha.
And in my D2L class, I have a button called Remind, and I give them the directions out there so that if they get a new cell phone later on in the year, yes, Lakeisha, I will send all of these documents to you after class with the videos, the links, the everything. But I keep, Lakeisha just asked me in chat, will I share all this with her? But I keep all the Remind information in my D2L so that if they get a cell phone or anything later on in the semester, and they don't have to have a cell phone, they can do it via email or whatever. Does that help, John? Did I answer your question?
So they never have your cell number at any time, and you don't have their cell number. You're working through that code from that app.
Correct. So when you download, and there's lots of apps out there. I'm most familiar with Remind and Band. But there's like a little code that you can't really see, but there's like a little code that you give them at the beginning of the semester. And I'll be glad to walk anybody through this. It's super easy. But you just give them a code, and And you never know, it comes through as a cell phone number. Like mine was like the semester 410-589-4286 or something. But I tell them, y'all, that's not my cell phone number. But save me as your contact so that you know when I text you. And when I text them, I am only texting them. And when they text me, they are only texting me. So that is another way that, you know, even in class, I'll say, text me your answer, take a picture of what you're doing, whether it's DL, whether it's virtual, or whether it's face-to-face. Now, another thing that I do with virtual students, sometimes like at the end of the semester, we were like, we just had a few minutes and I'm like, pull out your homework and let's start doing some problems. I do the share screen a lot, where we can share each other's screen. I can go in and see what they're working on. Like sometimes in English, they're like, I want you to see what I'm doing. You got a question, Alan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen. I wanted to just ask about the Remind app.
Mm-hmm.
You said it's also, there's a similar app called Band or what?
Band.
B-A-N-D.
It's right here, B-A-N-D. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then with Remind, can you talk? Can you have conversations on?
No, it usually just does like texting and pictures. Right. Band, they do the texting, but they also is kind of like Facebook. You can put post on a main page. You can do the texting feature, but the students can actually make post on like a home page. There's like a calendar feature. I usually just use mine to send them announcements and for them to chat with me. But I have used Band in the past as well.
All right. And then you said if a person doesn't have a cell phone or a smartphone, they can use Remind through email?
Correct. And the directions are out there as well, and I'll be glad to send them to you. This thing in red and green changes based on the name of your class. But they can sign up either through text or they can sign up through, and they can get the things through email.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, share screen I use quite often. I'm going to give you an example of kind of what I do with my students with share screen. This is from like 2 days ago. I was working a problem with a student.
Did you get the next one?
No, I need you to look at it for me before.
Okay, I'm going to hit stop sharing so that you can share.
Okay.
So, wait till it gets up there. Okay, so this is her screen. I am looking at the student screen.
Copy. You got stuck in the middle?
And she was having a problem, and she couldn't explain that to me. So I go in and I snag her problem, and I pull it into my computer. And now I'm sharing my screen. So I took her problem,
we have yards that go with yards,
and put it into my computer,
and
I now am describing that problem to the entire class. So I'm taking her homework problem and I'm describing it to the entire class.
We have 2 feet that we're not sure what to use.
And then before I even get finished with her problem,
you got to have those inches to cancel.
You like move the decimal.
Okay, hold on.
That middle one confused me for a minute.
Yeah. You got to have those inches to cancel with the inches on the bottom of the last one.
My science people, this is dimensional analysis.
Gavin, you've been quiet.
I have a question about it.
I was about to say Kayla's been quiet.
You hear me calling those names.
All right, go ahead.
And same thing. They know how to share those screens.
Okay, is this one just like the one where you like move the decimal?
Okay, this one is going to be a something.
And I do the same thing. I pull her problem in and we're just doing like a little, question and answer over and over again. That's going to be a share screen, where you can go in, share your screen, pull it over, talk about it to the entire class, and then share another screen. DL, virtual, and even face-to-face, I do a lot of videos. Our students, I know Alan emailed me and said, I wish my students could read. I wish they could read what I'm saying. I do a lot of little videos. I call them math chats because they're like listening to Snapchats. So I do a play on word and call them math chats. I do a lot, and I've been doing this, y'all, pre-COVID. Before we had WebEx, I got a cheap old camera, and I put me a little camera in the back of the room and started a YouTube channel. And I started me a YouTube channel, and 5 or 6 years ago, I would put a video up in the back of the room. I mean, it looks kind of prehistoric now.
This ain't gonna be given to you.
But this was a camera.
Yeah, but we're gonna do a word
I was
problem. We're
just
showing
showing them, this is my problem. This was before we did WebEx. And I would post all of these videos on there. Let me get back to where I was. I would post all of these videos, course videos from a previous semester. I would take all of their notes. I'll go to any day. I'd take all of their notes and I would say, these are the notes for that day. Get down to, well, that was at the beginning of semester. I must not have done too much math that day. Hold on. I would take all of their notes from that day. I picked on the same one. Okay, here we go. These are all their notes from that day. And then right after that, I have the video from that day. And so they would just click on the video and they would watch.
There were so many people on Zoom.
Hold on. They would watch the video from that day. And I've been doing that for years because my online students, I want them to have the same option. They may not.
I guess on Monday, the recording just did not want to pull over to the computer on Monday. I'm still.
There we go. I don't want them to have. I want them to have the same opportunity as my other classes. Let me come here. Let me get into any one of them. I want them to have the same opportunity as all my other classes and be able to see me teach, you know, and not have to teach themselves. So I have videos from a previous semester, and then every day this semester, I post all of my WebEx out there. I have my notes with my videos, my notes with my videos, and I'm recording what we're doing now. So if you want that, I can post that out to you. So, and then at the beginning or anytime I send them an email, I know they're not going to read that email. So what I do is I send them an email, and then sometimes I'll throw in a cute little short because they're not going to watch a long video. Hold on. I think I've made my computer mad. Oh, here we go. Oh. I throw in a short little video explaining what are showing them exactly what, come on, there we go. Like this says, watch this video to show you how to do blah, 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 blah. Here's how to do it, but if you can't follow these steps, watch this short, cute little video. And then here's how to do this, but if you don't know how to do it, watch this video. Here's how to do this. Here's how to start your homework. But if you don't know how to do it, watch this video. Because some people need to read it and some people need to see it. And I'm going to give them those options. Just like with y'all, I've given y'all those pictures, but I've also given you the videos. Some people want to see it. And our students are not any different than us. Now, I don't use breakout rooms. Everywhere that I was researching said that there's breakout rooms. I don't use those. Some of your curriculum may require breakout rooms better than mine do. I don't flip classrooms, but some of y'all may flip classrooms and that may work for y'all. Those were two that were big for y'all that I didn't use a lot of. I did have, Ethel, you said something about her screen. Oh, how do you snag her problem? Oh, okay, when her problem comes up, I use the snipping tool down at the bottom, and then I just grab it with my snipping tool. Hold on. I just grab the snipping tool, and then I copy it, not save it, Jen. I copy it, and then when I share my screen again, I paste it on my screen. So when her screen is live, I'll do the snipping tool, and then when I make my screen live, I paste her screen on my screen. Does that make sense, Ethel?
Yes, it does. It does.
And I do have some students who say, Ms. Cooper, I can't share my screen because I'm watching it on the computer on my phone. So what does Ms. Cooper do? I say, do one of two things. Either take a picture of the problem and text it to me and remind, or to turn your video on, and when your little screen, like John's screen's up right now, if he was watching me on his phone, John Pritchard, he would put his little phone up there, and he could zoom in on the picture, and I could see the picture on his phone through his little picture on participants, and I could snag it from there with the snipping tool. So I could get the problem either way. You got to be one step ahead of them. Did that help? Now, I know this isn't a WebEx meeting, but I did have a couple people say, how can I use WebEx better? I started off using Zoom. I'm now using WebEx. I say make sure you know how to use it before you use it. Like several of us math people, or even like my husband is a commercial pilot in St. Louis, I would send him a link and say, pretend like you're one of my students and show me what you see. Because I want to get the kinks out so that I don't waste class time. So I would get 3 or 4 faculty members, my daughter in the next room, my husband in St. Louis, and we would have a mock lesson so that I can say, what do you see? I mean, yesterday I even ran to Cheryl's office saying, okay, do you see this? I want to make sure this is right for tomorrow's meeting. Make sure that it's working. Get those kinks out. When I do my WebEx meetings, I first go in and I do the schedule and I do the template, because you're using, you're going to do the same thing over and over again. So I make sure that I create me a couple of templates. And then the next thing that I do, and I mean, I'll go over it with anybody who wants to, because there's no need in recreating the wheel. The next thing that I do is it makes you do a password. So I come up with something easy breezy. You cannot do FDTC. It will not let you do the school in the name. So I do like math. Today's meeting I did love. Some people need it, some people don't. And then you have to choose pro. I always do this so that they know the name of the class. And then I do whatever the occurrence is. I personally do not do attendees. I send them the link, just like I sent y'all the link. I don't do attendees. Now, there's a couple of things that is going to screw the students up. If they cannot hear you, I've heard a lot of students say, such and such canceled my class because they couldn't hear me or I couldn't hear them. If they cannot hear you, they need to, or you need to, click on the arrow beside the mute button and change to a different set of speakers. That messes up a lot of people. So right here, you pick that arrow, or the student pick, and it may not work. I mean, the student may work for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden they can't hear you. They got to choose that little down arrow and choose a different set of speakers. So that's one thing that happens a lot. They cannot join the meeting until the teacher joins the meeting. And the screen size, like the class, if they want to make, because like in math, I write a lot. And sometimes by default, that little class size is small. The screen size is small. To make that bigger, they have to click layout in the top right-hand corner. Then they have to click full screen, and then they can choose hide participants without videos. That makes my stuff as big as possible. Now, on your side, if you do a lot, like I'm all over the place, I'm pulling up videos, I'm pulling up notes, I'm pulling up a book, I'm pulling up everything. And my students used to say, Miss Cooper, you're like jerky. You're in and out. You're all over. I mean, it's like you got bad bandwidth. To make your videos smooth, you have to, when you hit the share button, you've got to come up here and choose the one that says optimize for motion and video. So when you hit share, you've got to change this one to motion and video. If you don't, you're going to be jerky. That's going to make it super smooth. So it's those little things that you just got to make sure that you do. I don't use these, but a lot of students, and my daughter goes to Mayo Magnet School in Darlington. She uses Edpuzzles all the time. She uses Kahoots. On the way to school this morning, she said, yeah, we had to do Kahoots to study for blah, blah, blah. It gets them ready to study for a test. Google Classroom, Flipgrid. I was reading in something the other day about Google Documents where multiple students could go in and annotate, like for English teachers, they could go in and annotate, do like a multiple person annotation of a document or whatever. So there's lots of different ways that you can keep them engaged to do multiple things virtually and in person. Now, while I was, and I'll take questions and stuff, but while I was doing my little research, I have a little Cersei for you because I just feel like everybody needs to come to class, and even if they didn't get anything out of this, I found some cute little things while I was studying. And I'm going to send them to you, whether you use them or not, don't even tell me. But these are all free. That maybe that can help you or can help your students. I just thought they were super cool in every aspect of your life. This is an app to help you get your class times, study times, exam times. Science people, biology people, y'all are always doing, my students are telling me they're always doing flashcards for y'all. This is stinking flashcard, pre-made flashcards, and you can make your own flashcards app free. This is, I'm always writing notes in to-do list. This is an app for to-do list. I'm not an iPhone person, but this one's about iPhone. This one's flashcards and study notes free. My daughter hates getting up in the morning. I thought this was stinking cute. Not only is it an alarm, but in order for the alarm to go off, you have to take a picture in a certain part of your living room, or you have to do a math problem in order for your alarm to go off. How stinking cute is that? Why didn't I think of that? But sleep cycle. I mean, there's all kinds. 50 gigabyte of free cloud storage, a portable scanner. I've got tons out there. So fitness, all kinds of stuff that I'm going to send to you. Oh, here's some more messaging. I know, Alan, you were asking me about messaging. Remind, Band, GroupMe. I don't endorse any of these. The only ones that I've used are Remind and Band, but there's some more out there. but I'm going to send this to you as well in a email. Hopefully you got something out of it. And Sean threatened me with bodily harm if I didn't finish before 10:30. So is there anything else? Alan, you asked about who's over PTLI. That's Layla Rodman. Is there anything else that you want to know that I didn't go over? Hopefully you got something out of today. And I will send you all the links, the videos. Hopefully you can apply something to face-to-face, to DL, to virtual, use an app. And if you think of something after the meeting and want to reach out to me, I'm one of those people who don't mind helping you. And if I don't know, I'll be glad to tell you I don't know. But if I can help you in any way, that's what I'm here for.
Great job, Jennifer. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
If
Thanks,
anybody
Jennifer.
has any
Good job.
questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great weekend.
You too.
Jennifer, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.